In this video, we'll be looking at the topic Introduction to Pivot Tables and Charts. Under this topic, we'll be looking at pivot tables and pivot charts, as well as how to manipulate some of these data using our pivot tables. We have data here representing performance of marketing staff on each of the quarters based on the account type and the amount generated by each of the marketers. Now we're going to look at how we can arrange this data or summarize the data in a more useful manner. Now we have these names on column A, column B has the quarters, while column C has the account type. We have three account types: current account, savings account, and fixed deposit account. And this is column D, the amount generated. Now to use your pivot table to start summarizing your data, the first thing is that your data must have headers. So these are data have headers on row 1. Your data must have headers. Secondly, there must not be break between your data. So if you check from the beginning to the end, there shouldn't be any break. Now, how do you check if there's a break when you have a large data? Because usually pivot tables are used to summarize extremely large data. Now, check from the beginning to the end by holding your control key down and pressing the down arrow. If it takes you to the last data, that means there is no break in that particular column. Now, if there's a break, it will stop at that particular break and you can actually make your adjustment. Let's assume there is a break here. Let me delete this information and go back to the top. Now if I take my control down arrow, you see it will stop me at the break. That means I need to find out if my data have any break. Let me bring that back. Now I've checked, now my data have no break, and they all have headers. Each column have a header. So what I'm going to do now is to take my insert tab. I need to prepare my pivot chart now, tables. Now when I click my insert tab, under the tables group, I'll see insert pivot table. So I click on that insert pivot table. Now the create pivot table menu comes up. Now the moment you click that, you'll see here that the table range has been highlighted. I have the range highlighted as A1 down to D97. Now we already know what the dollar sign means, which means that area is already a fixed range. Now if you come down here, you'll be asked choose where you want your pivot report to be placed, either in a new worksheet or existing worksheet. Now usually you'll be doing pivot table on a very huge data, so putting it on the existing worksheet might not be very nice. So I'm going to take new worksheet and I click OK. Now the moment I click OK, I get into this environment. Now to the right, I have the pivot table fields. I'm going to explain this. First, remember we said our data must have headers. Now you look at this place, you have the headers. We have 4 headers, then that's why we're getting 4 here. If our data was large, large and we have about 20, 30 different headings, we would have seen all here. Now I come to this other side, we have 4 segments here: the filter segment, the column, the row, and the values. Now all we would need to do in doing our pivot table is to drag each of these headers to this column. That's the headers we want to use. Now the last one to the right here is values. Now these values is only headers that have amount that can only go in there. So for this is marketing staff, these are individuals, quarter, account type. It's only amount here that can go into this column. Now the moment you are dragging them into these segments here, these sections here, you'll be seeing the impact on your pivot table section to the left here. So let me start by moving my account type to my column. Now the moment you move it there, you see arranged already to the left. Now I'm going to move let me move my marketing staff to the rows. Fine, so I have it this way. Now the beauty of pivot table is as you are placing your headers to the various sections, you will be seeing it arranged there. So if it's not what you need, you can actually reassign them. Now I'm going to move amount to this place. Now fine, this is the summary of the data that we have in the data sheet. Now if you check, we have 1.76 billion. Now this data, first I'm going to arrange them. I can just highlight all this. I go to my home tab and I take the comma separator. Let me take out the decimal points. Now I have my data already. Now there's a field I left behind, which is the filter field. I will address that. if you bring this quarter to this place, now you see it here, telling me that all the quarters are represented here. So if I click on this, you see the 4 quarters, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 already represented. Now, having done this, I can decide to say, okay, let me plot my chart. I'm going to isolate the total and plot my chart for the rest. So I take this, I'm isolating the total. I go to my insert and I'll see under the chart group, I'll see pivot chart. So I click on my pivot chart and I have my pivot chart shown here. So I can now come and click OK. Now this is my pivot chart representing every information that the data it has. Now to the top here I have quarters showing that all these are represented in the 4 quarters. Now if you click on this is the marketing staff, you will see all the list of staff. If there are 50, all the 50 will be displayed here. Now if you go to the account type, there are 3 account types. If I click on this, I have current account, fixed deposit account, and savings account deposit. Now, how do I use this to summarize my data? I need to see the performance of 3 participants or 3 of the marketing staff. So I click on this row and I select, let me take out this. That means I can now expose all. I can now pick Frank, I want to pick Mary, and I want to pick Sam. Now what I'm doing now is I have just selected only 3 staff of all this to view their performance, and I click OK. Now my chart has been presented in such a way that only 3 of those staff represented. Now the same thing happened to my chart by both my chart and the graph. Now I can also say, let me check their performance in the first quarter. Already I have all here. So if I click on this select sample, it opens up for me here to pick any particular quarter that I need. I need first quarter and second quarter, and I click OK. Now, what does this represent? It means Frank has the highest current account deposit in the first 2 quarters put together, and also have the highest fixed deposit. That's the only staff that actually did fixed deposit. Now, Frank had no savings deposit during the period, while Mary had the highest savings deposit. Now, what if I decide to take their first and last quarter? I take this one off, I take out second quarter, and I take first and last quarter, and I take this. Now, first and last quarter have shown that Frank did not generate any savings deposit during the period. Mary did not generate any fixed deposit, as well as Sam. So you can use this to, let me take all their account again. This is their performance for the 3 quarters. And let me add one more staff. Let me add George to this. And you see I already have George added. Now I want to take out some deposit and let me see their performance only in current account. So I just take current account and I get this. So you can see that I've brought out only 4 staff and I'm viewing only their current account for all the quarters. So if I want to view their account for only the first quarter, I just take the first quarter here and I click OK. Now, this is how you use your pivot table. I can decide to do my coloring, which is a normal thing we did on that graph, but that's not that will not be necessary. It doesn't add much value to your pivot chart. I mean, I want to take all this, and that doesn't really add much value. So that's how to analyze your data using pivot table. There are much more advanced ways of running your pivot table, which will be treated under the advanced cost content in the other module. But for now, this actually should cover for the foundation class. Now, if I want to take out any of these ones, assuming I do not want this, let me bring out all the stuff. I bring out all this. So I have, this is the complete information. Now, the moment I click outside, the pivot table field goes off. Now I want to take out my quarter from here to this place, and I bring in my marketing staff here. Look at what is going to happen. So this is only for first quarter, which means if I bring in all my quarter there, let me take all the quarters. This is now my chart reproduced in a different dimension because I have just brought in the marketing staff as my filter field. So I click here and I can decide to be selecting my marketing staff from here or from this side. That's all about pivot table for this session. Let's go to the course content and see if we've missed out anything. Now we've seen the pivot tables, we've also seen the pivot charts, and again we've seen data manipulation using pivot tables. Thank you very much for listening. In the next videos we'll see much more of what Excel can do. Bye bye.